Welcome. Good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
Hope all of you are doing fine, fit, and sheltered under the mercy of Krishna. Hari Bol. Very happy to be here with you on this Sunday. It's one of those Sundays within the pandemic, within the second lockdown, and there are many anxieties. Somehow or the other, Krishna has given us this arrangement to be together, although there are many different types of restrictions, and although we should be suffering loneliness, lockdown somewhere in different places, with sometimes our family members, sometimes alone, sometimes separated from family, and sometimes in some hospital ward. We don't know. But amazingly, I think we should acknowledge Krishna's mercy that we are all having the opportunity by his arrangement to get together on this platform and read Bhagavad Gita together. Thank you very much for coming and joining in this session. I'm planning to just read a shloka from 18th chapter today. This is about knowledge in the modes. So, please, if you've got your book Bhagavad Gita as it is with you, then you can look into chapter 18 and go to text 19, 20. Well, let's do it from 20 onwards. We'll just do a reading of 3 shlokas from 20 onwards. And then we will repeat one shloka as usual so that you would all like to hear the repetition. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Virayet. Text 20. Sarvabhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tatjnanam viddhi satvikam. Translation: that knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. Maybe we should chant this together and the other 2 we can just read. Please, I will chant this once more and after that you can join me line by line. Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tatjnanam viddhi satvikam. Please repeat after me. Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam
Sarvabhuteshu yenaikam
bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tatjnanam viddhi satvikam. Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu jnanam viddhi satvikam. Translation: that knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. Purport. A person who sees one spirit soul in every living being, whether a demigod, human being, animal, bird, beast, aquatic, or plant, possesses knowledge in the mode of goodness. In all living entities, one spirit soul is there, although they have different bodies in terms of their previous work. As described in the 7th chapter, the manifestation of the living force in every body is due to the superior nature of the Supreme Lord. Thus, to see that one superior nature, that living force in every body, is to see in the mode of goodness. That living energy is imperishable, although the bodies are perishable. Differences are perceived in terms of the body because there are many forms of material existence in conditional life. The living force appears to be divided. Such impersonal knowledge is an aspect of self-realization. Okay, I will just read 21 and 22 shloka and translation alone. Pritatvena tu yajnanam nana bhavan pritakvidhan veti sarveshu bhuteshu tat jnanam vitti rajasam. That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion. And text 22, yet tu krishna vadekasmin karye saktamahaitukam atatvarthatvadalpam cha tattamasam udakritam. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all without knowledge of that truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. I will read this purport also, it's interesting. Text 22. The knowledge of the common man is always in the mood of darkness or ignorance because every living entity in conditional life is born into the mode of ignorance. One who does not develop knowledge through the authorities or scriptural injunction has knowledge that is limited to the body. He is not concerned about acting in terms of directions of scripture. For him, God is money. And knowledge means the satisfaction of bodily demands. Such knowledge has no connection with the absolute truth. It is more or less like the knowledge of the ordinary animals. The knowledge of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. Such knowledge is described here as the product of the mode of darkness. In other words, knowledge concerning the spirit soul beyond this body is called knowledge in the mode of goodness. Knowledge producing many theories and doctrines by dint of mundane logic, mental speculation is in the mode of passion. And knowledge concerned only with keeping the body comfortable is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Putale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. This is interesting chapter, and it's a conclusion. Krishna is speaking about knowledge under the three modes. Very interesting. It says that knowledge by which a person is able to see one equality, one equal living force in all the bodies, although the bodies may be different. That is yenaikam bhavam. That knowledge is in the mode of sattva guna. And seeing different personalities according to the different bodies. Or in other words, thinking that each body is different personality, which it is in the material terms. is a different person because of his body being different. That is in the mode of rajas. Then to see to see nothing but one type of work as all, be all and end all, which is Shudra's job. He is in the mode of ignorance. He only sees his body, his bodily enjoyment, his bodily requirement, and everything alone. That's all he looks at. He's in the mode of ignorance, tamasika guna. You see, this is what is the meaning of equality. When you talk of equality, today there's a lot of talk about equality, gender equality, wealth distribution equally, and an economy that's based on wealth distribution equally. And then it's spoken about many other types of equalities. But as long as you're ruled by the modes of material nature, and especially as long as you're ruled by Rajogun and Tamogun, which is what most people are ruled by in this world, it is very difficult for you to look at equality, understand equality. Because you will think equality can be brought about by a physical equalness or physical possession of equal wealth, or everybody trying to look the same, which is impossible. Because you should never try to make material situation equal. It is not. Material situation is never equal. Material situation is unequal because of the karma of people. Each one's karma is different, and therefore he comes in different shape and sizes, both in his subtle body and in his gross body. But as spirit soul, all are equal. But if you don't see spirit soul and you see only body, it's very difficult for you to work out equality. If you think everybody is the body, then how will you bring equalness in everybody? Somebody is tall, somebody is short, somebody is dark, somebody is fair, somebody is intelligent, somebody is dumb. Somebody has got one type of skill, somebody is unskilled. Somebody is male, other one is female, somebody is African, somebody is this nationality, that nationality. How will you bring equality? It's impossible to bring equality. So material world is struggling with this thing called equality. And they artificially bring equality invariably. Some people, even amongst the equal people, say communist regime. I remember those days when I was joining the movement in Russia, I joined even before that. In Russia, there was this big thing called Perestroika and Glasnost and all these things going on. And there was a breakdown of the communist regime. And at that time, the whole things happening inside the working class people against the ruling class. And they said that, no, there is no, they said that, and I remember a devotee telling me that all men are equal in Russia, but some are more equal than others. He explained to me. Actually, in Russia, the philosophy is everybody is equal, but some are more equal than others. Do you understand? I said, yeah, I understand. In other words, it doesn't work out. The philosophy doesn't work out. Because invariably, the people are feeling those who are ruling us are having a better time than us. So, equality on the basis of material life and material physical differences and mental differences and other differences, karma differences, more than anything which people don't see, is impossible to achieve. So in his talk with Professor Kotovsky, when Prabhupada went to Moscow on his first visit, he explained that we are also communists. And obviously Professor Kotovsky was very happy to hear this. And he said, how is that? He said, we are spiritual communists. We practice spiritual communism. Prabhupada presented Bhagavad Gita according to time, place, and circumstance to him. And he said that we believe in equality. Everybody is equal as spirit soul. And he quoted the shloka, Pandita Samadarshina. We see everybody equal. Samadarshana. It is already mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. He was very surprised. Equality mentioned in your, they say, of course it's mentioned. And what equality? Not only human beings, he said even animals are equal. Then he became a little confused, obviously. But even animals are equal. He said. So he said, and quoted that shloka, and he said, Suni chaive swapake cha pandita samadarshana Brahmane gavihastini. That seeing an exalted Brahmana, seeing a cow, seeing an elephant, and seeing a Chandala, and seeing a dog eater, Chandala, and all sorts of these things, a person who has got equal vision sees all of them equally because he sees the spirit soul and the super soul in all their bodies. He doesn't see the body. He says such a person who is Samadarshana is an educated, cultured person. At least, as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, one should be in the mode of goodness, which means he is educated, he has knowledge, and he sees people equally. Sometime back, I think in America, that police officer was tried out, and that famous case, George Floyd, or what's his name? George Floyd, right? I think Ramesh ji will know, Dr. Ramesh ji will know. George Floyd, right? If I remember right. And there's a policeman called Derek Chauvin who was tried out and he was proven to be guilty.
Yes,
if I'm right.
George Floyd.
Okay. So my knowledge is not bad. So he because I keep speaking to our youth, they can tell me all these things. Derek Chauvin was tried out and he was proven guilty. He is known to be a person who has exercised an unequal amount of pressure on somebody who's black-bodied. Then they had this big movement called Black Lives Matter. It was known to be one of the biggest racist, anti-racist movement. And then our previous president in America made some racist comments, and people have become very careful about making racist comments even by mistake. And maybe one of them is in this lecture. Most probably they'll interpret something that I'm saying in a racist way, because people are so highly sensitive to racist this thing, that Black Lives Matter. And it is definitely something very important. The history shows that people have been treated like that. There have always been two levels of treatment. In colonization in India also, you see how nice, simple, cultured people living off the farm and having a little Brahminical culture and looking after a nice varna was completely destroyed. And they were tortured and they were, made to feel all sorts of things. And everything was upset. And there was slavery before. Human beings were kept as slaves, in the American history. American history is filled with all these type of things. All time, some problem with racism and higher level people looking at somebody in a lower way and everything. But in India, you will see in the history that all sorts of people stayed together. And even though by karma, they know that they don't have a very great merit, and they are maybe mediocre or less than mediocre. But the meritocratic people, that means who had good karma, would never treat the mediocrity people in a wrong way. That has been noted in 17th, 18th century by a lady who traveled in India. I think she's from Ireland. She came to Pune. And she's written about how servant maids in India were given jewels to wear, that they had jewels on their hands from their shoulders till their elbows, from their elbows right up to their wrists. Earrings, necklaces, and then they had anklets, all in gold. They would walk out of the houses after their work feeling very happy with the person who is engaging them, because they would look after them very well. They have that feeling that by some quirk of karma, I have with me certain material things, you don't have it. And I want to make sure that I share it with you. And they would make them feel very good. They will look after them. But they have a Shudra mentality, the workers anyway. And they would just say, I'm simply happy working for you. I'm simply happy to serve you. And there was no salary and everything like that. It's just that anything you need, I'll look after you. And anytime what they need, they could come and they be looked after. It was a very good relationship in which they didn't think that you're lower than me. You have less merit. You have no good karma. You're born. Very rarely such things did happen. It did happen. It's not that it did not happen. It's very natural. But they were looked after, and generally speaking, there was a lot of effort put to make sure that some sort of an equality was there, because the Brahminical class of people were educated and they knew there's no difference actually. So you will see in history in India, equality on a very good platform, not just rough physical social equality, but actually treatment from within the heart in an equal way, not only physically. And they didn't demand that physically so much also. But over a period of time, all this divide and rule policy with the Britishers and everything, they created a completely different system. And the economy is based on feeling the difference. Only if you feel the difference, there'll be competition. And only if there is competition, this economy will work. So there has to be passion, rajoguna. There has to be differentiation. The rich, the poor has to be there. The economy makes the richer richer and the poorer poorer. It's also so funny setup. It's all because of Rajogun. It's a Rajogun economy. But in a Satvika Gun economy, you will at least find that people can see each other equally and they will try to help the people. In a Tamasika Gun economy, nobody sees anything, any difference. And they see only one thing. Like nowadays, work is worship. Work is everything. Karma Bhumi. And everybody works. Without work, I cannot be there. And everybody works, gets the fruit of the work, and then enjoys their senses. They get drunk. They'll do all sorts of things with the money, which is simply based on bodily gratification alone. This is actually Shudra. Work is everything. I have to get a job. I have to get a job. And even the best of Brahminical born people also, they get a job and excel in the job so much, and they are actually underemployed. For their Brahminical status, they could be employed in a much better way. Their brains could be used in a much better way. The Brahmins were never asked to work. You have valuable knowledge. You don't have to work for getting your food, roti, kapda, makan. You need to simply offer your advice. We just want to pick your brains. And for that, we will look after you. You should never be worried about anything you need. And so Brahmins were kept no worry, and their needs were anyway very less. Because they were looked after also, they never asked for anything. At any time, they could get everything they wanted. Everything they wanted. So the Brahmanas were getting a lot of gifts and charity from the kings. And they would always give it off. They'll not keep anything with them. Because in the mode of goodness, they always know that I can get all these things. I am more interested cultivating knowledge, giving out knowledge, etc. So if you look at the modes of material nature described in the Bhagavad Gita and the type of knowledge, that Bheda, difference, and seeing people differently. Oh, he is not from Brahminical community. We cannot do that. See, it's necessary sometimes also. And sometimes it is not necessary also. When you do a marriage ceremony, then a person from a higher caste will not marry somebody from a lower caste. And there are different types of things that people will have to look into. Differences and all that. So this is Rajogun. And in the material, mostly the knowledge is based on Rajogun and Tamogun knowledge. Some amount of knowledge that is based on the mode of goodness is there in Shastric study, in some very scholarly people who study these things and understand and are a little peaceful and sattvic. They are not competition-oriented, money-oriented, fruitful-oriented. They're just happy with the knowledge they get about things and the way the things work and about God and everything. They're very happy about it. And they're peaceful, satisfied, right? So you have a very small band of that class of people in Kali Yuga, extremely small. And the bulk of them are Rajogun. Bulk of them are passionate, fruitive, working to get results and all that. What I'm speaking is totally anathema to the modern world. If people see me talking these type of things, what rotten thing is he talking? This is how our economy works. We need to have competition. We need to have people. Why? for each other and then compete, and then the economy will improve, and then there will be greater GDP and so many things together. I don't know the intricate details. I'm not an economist, but I know that foundationally some things are wrong when you look at it that way. So looking at the world in a passionate way, in Rajoguna way, is mostly the characteristic of people who are very materialistic. And looking at the world in a equality way means everybody is a spirit soul. Somehow by their little past karma, they are stuck in different bodies and different situations. Some are high, some are low. Even the animals, the birds, the plants, everything are actually spirit souls. But somehow by their activities, they are stuck in different roles, in different shapes and sizes. But they are all actually equal. They are all children of God, right? Mamaivamsa jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana. Krishna describes that. Mamaiva amsha. They are all my part and parcels. This outlook will come only if you're in a sattvika guna, or at least if you practice that sattvika guna. Practicing that sattvika guna means actually associating with persons who are spiritually oriented, and their habits and their discipline and everything will actually give us a taste of sattva guna. Will give us a taste of that sattva guna. And we can experience it, and we know that it is good. It's good. We like to be in that. Getting up early in the morning, coming for Mangalarati and spending time chanting and watching the sunrise, taking a walk, reading in the early hours of the morning Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad, and exchanging spiritual subject matter. And then as the sun rises and everything, you do your daily activities. And then you don't exert yourself too much unnecessarily for extra wealth, name, fame, recognition, etc. We live a peaceful life because yadricha labha santushta hai. A goodness person is happy with whatever he gets by God's arrangement. He has learned to be satisfied. A person in the mode of goodness is simply satisfied with whatever he gets. And that's sometimes very irritating to people who are very rajasic. They will tell, what are you doing, wasting your time? Why don't you get up and go and do some work and make some money and, do invest here and do something about life. And the person will say, I'm happy the way I am. What's your problem? Just what's your problem? You're irritating to me. Why? You don't do anything for the country and for the nation and for the GDP to go up and all. Of course I'm doing. Of course I'm doing. I teach people and I give them knowledge. I read the scripture and I give them knowledge. I teach them all this. Yeah, maybe. But I think you have the capacity to do something. When a passionate person and a sattvic person get together, their conversation is pretty, poles apart. When two sattvic people get together, they get very excited and discuss shastra and logic and nyaya and, many things about, and they gain more knowledge from each other and they go into details and they spend a lot of time talking. Two rajasic people get together, they also like it very much. But their conversations are very short. They mean business, let's do this, let's do that, finish, go and act. Immediately act, make money, have sense gratification together, ball at each other, and finally get drunk and hit each other and fight with each other and go back home. Rajasic, fight with each other, argue with each other, don't agree with you. Like that. Tamasic, of course, we don't have to talk much, right? So knowledge that can be used in these type of Rajasic platforms is explained there. Knowledge that what we are utilizing nowadays, matter, and is mostly knowledge of matter and how to use matter in such a way that we get our gratification. So equality under these circumstances means one has to be situated in goodness, and then he can see the equality. When you're in Rajogun, in the passionate guna, it's very difficult for you to make things equal. You'll struggle a lot. And invariably, it will not happen. It's a lot of frustration. So when I saw that Black Lives Matter, this thing, and black people and white people getting together and this thing and all that, I was feeling, just if you knew that actually all of you are anyway equal. If you see on the basis of the body, definitely you're unequal. But what you're really asking for is, I want to be treated equally, although I look different, although I have a different background. That's what you're actually telling. And that is because you are equal that way. You are equal that way. And you must, what you're saying is correct. But you must recognize everybody to be a spiritual personality. And you must see his identity different from the body, different from his situation, different from his circumstance, different from the material things he is situated in. Then you can distinctly see. For that you must know, I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not the intelligence. I am spirit soul. And you are spirit soul. He is spirit soul. The dog is a spirit soul. The cat is a spirit soul. Then your whole viewpoint changes. In fact, not only Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. The body of the cow, the body of the goat, the body of the chicken, the body of the hen, the body of all animals, even the trees matter very much. There is an interconnectedness between all living forms. You'll be very amazed if you study nature more and more deeply, how it's live, breathing, throbbing, connecting. I was very amazed to hear recently from a botanist and some sort of a forest dweller and worker, that all trees are connected underground. They call it mycorrhizal connection or something. They're all connected underground. And I was very amazed. He said, do you know that they look separate on the top, but underneath, every one of them is connected and everyone helps each other. Protein molecules are carried and all sorts of things are carried from one to the other. And when baby plants are growing up, the parents are helping and neighbors are being helped. Everybody is holding hands underneath. All the trees are connected. All of them in the big forest, everyone is connected. I was feeling so happy hearing this. Mycorrhizal connections they have. It's some sort of a bacterium, virus, or some sort of a connection underneath, and they have a whole transport structure. They have a whole, motorway, and different types of things are happening underneath. Supplies, water is being supplied, interconnected, and a lot of proteins and important chemicals and all that are being supplied. If some plant is dying, many others are helping that together. Water is being supplied. Amazing. Very amazing. And then all the birds and insects, all of them are connected. They send messages to each other and they can recognize. The trees, they house all the birds and nests and everything. They're all together living as though they are living cooperatively. And they are pulsating with Mother Earth. And there is such an interconnectedness. It's only the human being who remains disconnected from this. Remains disconnected. This ekatvam anupashyatah is because a devotee is the best person. He can see a tree and he can embrace it as a living being. Definitely. Long back in India, there was a Chipko movement. I think in all these areas, in the Himalayas and all these places. I think Vinoda Bhave, somebody like that. He started a movement because they were felling the trees for lumbering and everything. So his knowledge, I'm saying, this is ekatvam. This is ekena bhava. He was saying the trees are living beings. They give us so many things, not only fruit and this and that. They keep the water together in the land. They do so many things for us. You can't cut the trees. So the Chipko movement was they go and hug the trees. they hug and they show love to the trees. He started this movement, and everybody was thinking he's a crackpot. Many foreigners now say, what's wrong with this guy? Just cut it and take the wood. It'll grow again. So what's your problem? Like that. He said, don't deforest. The forest is living, breathing. It's got a lot of things in it going on. And now they are finding out so many things. There's so many things they're finding out. Every small thing happening there has got a connection with something else, something else, something else. So many things are happening. So a learned person, he sees the interconnectedness, not only with animals and birds and insects and humans. He sees it even with trees, plants, the rivers, the mountains. The mountains are living beings. You will see mountains are named Himalaya Parvat, Vindhya Parvat. Like that. Why? They are living beings. In the Shastra, it is described about Govardhan Parvat, how he traveled and came to Vrindavan. Right? And Prabhupada describes in the Bhagavad that mountains had wings and they would fly from one planet to the other. This is amazing. They'll say, wow, I've heard of fairy tales, but this is a little too much. But actually, it's true. It's true. They're living beings, the mountains. They're personalities. Rivers are personalities. Can you imagine? Trees are personalities. The earth is a personality. Who is not a person? Who is not a person? It's only when you're not spiritually oriented, you see everything as matter. So, Bhagavad Gita is teaching us to be personal, to be oriented towards understanding interconnectedness, to see life forms, soul present everywhere. The soul is called Sarvagata. This is the meaning of knowledge in the mode of goodness. When you read Bhagavad Gita, you will at least get knowledge in the mode of goodness, whereas actually it is transcendental knowledge. Because you get knowledge of Krishna, knowledge of the Supreme Personality who has made and designed this whole creation with a particular purpose, and it's got a certain rhythm and a frequency, and human beings are supposed to resonate with that same frequency, and life will be very, very harmonious, and there'll be no problem, there'll be no coronavirus. Definitely. The coronavirus is an indication of disharmony, disconnection, losing yourself, forgetting yourself and your spiritual identity, and thinking you are this body, and seeing everything with pratak bhavam, separateness, not seeing all these things connected. So the punishment is you get suffering in the form of, these type of pandemics, and people are attacked. Why? Material nature, a small virus, is attacking the whole human society. It's very powerful. Sometimes I hear the doctors now getting together and say, what is God doing? People are dying. So many people are dying. What is God doing? It's we who are doing everything. We are caregivers. We are the doctors. We are in the forefront. We are saving people. But unfortunately, people are not being saved. Although you're trying to save, still people are dying. True, you're saving a lot of people, no doubt about it. And our healthcare workers are doing a great job. There's no doubt. But a philosophical understanding, the truth is something else is also happening. We have to factor that in, no doubt. We have a lot of doctors, devotees who are also in the forefront, helping and sacrificing them. Some of them are here also. So it's not that somebody is not doing a wonderful sacrifice, a great activity. But everybody should think, but why is it happening in spite of that? There is some other force. There is some other reaction to some other action that we have done. Are we getting punished? Are we actually being held responsible for certain actions that we are doing? So this type of thinking is the beginning stage. When you get a rap on the wrist, then you have to think about, why am I getting hit? Why am I getting punished? Right? So, and we have to think, human beings definitely have to be in the mode of goodness. Then only they can see things as they are. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam sukha sanghena badnati jnana sanghena chanaka. So, putting ourselves in the goodness platform, we can strive. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, by practice and discipline, one can be in goodness platform. Some people find it very difficult, but by associating with people and by being disciplined in certain ways, like our devotees, they all get up in the morning early by 4 o'clock, 4:15, they come for Mangalarati in the morning, and they all chant the names of Krishna and everything, and then they are chanting japa together. And the whole morning they are completely engaged in hearing about Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavad and doing some seva for the Lord's murtis, archa vigraha. And they keep completely busy the whole morning, 6 hours from 4 o'clock onwards to 9:30, 10 o'clock, they're busy. It's a total sadhana time, 6 hours. And they take a little bit rest and relax a little bit, and then they do their daily course. So they feel that I feel very nice. I feel I've accomplished something. I feel this is very good for me and my life and my system because I put myself in Sattva Guna. Right? And I enjoy that. I enjoy that very much. So a little practice and a little discipline. Reading Bhagavad Gita every day, chanting Krishna's names every day, waking up early in the morning, keeping clean, taking a bath, wearing fresh clothes, eating food that is freshly cooked and offered to Krishna. All these things give a freshness in life, a sattvic guna mode that makes you feel good. It's good living. It's good living. Even if you live in a very palatial house, and even if you live in very good building, very clean, nicely kept, you could be completely tamasic and rajasic inside. And you may not be really able to enjoy the place. But somebody living in the forest, in a nice thatched hut, can have a very rich experience, much better than you may be having. Habitats are also classified according to the gunas. Forest living is considered to be in the mode of goodness. In thatched shed, bamboo shed, next to the river, with the cow dung spread over the floor and the wall, doing your yajna and everything. Very clean, very sattvic. Living in the city is rajasic. In this concrete buildings, brick and stone buildings, with electricity, power, light shining on you, supposed to be rajasic. Then, of course, living in the brothel and living in the bar and living in the lousy place, sometimes fighting with each other, getting drunk and having all sorts of gratification, that is tamasic living. We don't even have to talk about that. So, although you may live in a palatial place, your lifestyle will actually matter a lot. So people should be taught to live at least in the mode of goodness. Then that type of knowledge will come and that type of vision will come. They will see everybody equally. They'll be able to see everybody equally and appreciate equality. Whether it is a man or a woman or a child or an African or a black man or a white man or a tall man or a short man, an American, everything, they'll see equally. Because of this equality, look, only Prabhupada was able to go all over the world and talk to anybody and everybody and make them feel very, very comfortable. That I'm not being discriminated. I am being seen by this holy man as a worthy individual, as a spirit soul, as a part and parcel of Krishna. Very, very valuable. He gave great value to everybody by telling them you're a spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. You are not a black man, you're not a white man, you're not American, you're not Indian, you're not African. You belong to Krishna. Mamaivamsa jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana. The absolute truth. You're part and parcel of that absolute truth. Why do you struggle in the relativity and thinking of all these differences? Right? So Prahlad also told his father the same thing. Although he was a 5-year-old boy, he told his father, Father, why are you looking at everybody as enemy and friend? Vishnu is not your enemy. I don't see anybody who is my enemy. I don't see anybody who is my enemy. Neither are you my enemy. Because his father had tried to kill him at least 5-6 times already. And he's telling this to his father, I can't see you as enemy at all. But you are seeing me as enemy. And you're seeing Vishnu as enemy. This is because of this passionate guna. But Prahlad was transcendental. He was not able to see anybody as his enemy. Wherever he was thrown, he was only able to see Krishna and everybody connected with Krishna. Therefore, nothing happened to him. Nothing happened to him. So there is transcendence, there is goodness, there is Rajogun, and there is the lowest Tamogun. Right? Nobody can escape these gunas in this material world. So, but we can do one thing as far as possible, try to discipline ourselves and be in Sattvika Guna. Very good for our spiritual life. Right? So throughout the Bhagavatam, you will see this great stories of people who are in the gunas, people who are transcendental to the gunas, and how they interact with each other, and how there is problem, or sometimes those who are in Rajoguna fighting with each other, all sorts of combinations of people. And the lesson repeatedly told that if you become a devotee of the Lord, you can get rid of these type of worldviews, and you'll be peacefully situated in an equality vision based on spirituality, based on seeing everybody as spiritual beings. This is what the world needs today. It needs leaders who teach people to be spiritually oriented, increase their spiritual dimension. And then many problems in this world can be solved, at least if they are brought to Sattvika Guna. Right? Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki. Has anybody got a question that we'll be happy to answer for you? You can put it up in the chat. Devaki Sumukhi, people in mode of passion have separatist mentality. Am I correct? Yes, very much. Separatist mentality because they're already separated from Krishna, that intensifies more. And because of that, they always want to stay away from the authority, stay away from regular groups, start their own group and be the boss and be the person leading, although they don't know anything much. So that passionate mentality always comes, but sometimes it becomes useful to them. They start some enterprise on their own and then they do their own thing, and they become sometimes even successful. But it's not that passionate guna is not required. We are a balance of all these gunas. When we do certain things, passion is required. Brahma had to be passionately oriented for creation. Creation is always passionate. So when we do certain things in a creative mode, even for Krishna, Arjuna had to be in a passionate mode to fight. You can't be, in a very sattvic mode when people are shooting arrows at you, and you have to pull out your this thing and you have to be passionate. So even in service to Krishna, there is passion required, but it is used in the service of the Lord only. Right? So, but what you're talking about is not very helpful in service of Krishna, the separatist mentality. Everything belongs to Krishna. Isavasham idam sarvam. That is the mentality that's required. And a person who is in Sattvika Guna can easily develop that mentality. But a person who's in Rajasic Guna will find it difficult to accept the fact that everything belongs to God. That's why they're treating material nature so badly and is reacting with climate change and problem with water and pollution, all these things done by people. They are separatist mentality. They can take from material nature whatever resource they want. They can exploit and put other people into difficulty. They're not all working together, separatist. Some people alone are getting benefits. True. Thank you for the comment, Devaki Sumuki. Puja Kumari. As we are always surrounded by people in mode of passion, sometimes we also get influenced by them. How to consistently keep ourselves in mode of goodness? Good question, Puja Kumari. Yes, we are, going to work, and most people are in that mode. But what happens to a devotee is he's immediately able to see this person as in mode of passion. And I don't want to be like that. So he keeps a distance. It doesn't get too emotionally involved. He handles it with due caution. That strength to do that will come if you're practicing sadhana and if you're involved in chanting Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavad Gita, associating with devotees, and constantly knowledge acquisition is happening, and you're moving that in your head and saying, well, that's a wonderful concept. That idea of modes and how we see people and our world views are decided by the modes influencing us. And if I can remain in Sattvika Guna by a little bit of exercise, that'll be better. So these type of thoughts will be inside you. And when you see a Rajasic person, you can see this fellow is suffering from Rajas. And the moment you make that out, you can also see your association with him can be cautious. So intelligent people associate cautiously. Association means various levels. See, just because you see somebody in the bus stand or in the, in your company's bus stand, you see him, or you sit together in the bus and talk a little bit. One stop, two stop, and you get, oh, thank you very much. You don't like associate too much. You just superficially say, where are you from? I'm from. Oh, is it so? Like that, like that, like that. As you become more and more closer, then you really start associating. You start saying personal things to the person. He says personal things. You invite him home and you hear more from him, or she invites you and you go there, and then slowly you become very deeply related. That's when the gunas will start affecting you, because what one says will affect the other because of association. But if you're keeping a little distance and not getting too close, then you can avoid that association. But you get close to people who are in goodness, who are in devotees, and they're practicing, I don't mind. I reveal myself to them and they reveal to me. And I like the association because the person is sattvic moded. He's practicing sadhana, and I like that association better than somebody else who may be my good friend but doesn't believe in my practices and all that. So we keep a little distance. So you associate with caution. Don't sell yourself too much. You know the story, the Panchatantra story of the crocodile and the monkey? I think most of you know that. It's a very popular story. Crocodile and monkey were good friends. And the monkey would jump down from the tree and jump out of the crocodile, and they'll go for a ride. He will take him for a fast, swift ride. And then he'll come back and they'll talk together, a lot of things, everything. The crocodile's wife, she-crocodile, was a deadly lady. She was wondering, my husband is becoming too attached to that monkey friend. Right? There is danger, because in the future, I see that he will become a hindrance to me and my relationship with my husband, and he may break it in between. I see him as a potential threat. So she made a plan. She said that I've got some problem. I've got a heart problem. Consulted the doctor, and he said that I should eat monkey flesh. Monkey's heart is required. Monkey's heart is required. So he said, why don't you bring your friend and I would like to eat his heart? And the crocodile said, what? He said, am I not your wife? Can't you do this? Specifically that type of monkey, that disease. Either you go with the monkey or I die. If you don't give me his heart, she made it a whole drama like that, and then he was forced to. See, she told him also how to trick him and get him. Right? So he tricked the monkey. He brought the monkey behind him, as usual, giving a ride. Then as he approached the middle of the stream, he said, actually, the thing is like this. My wife said like this, and I'm taking you to my wife because she wants your heart, and this is not that. He said, the monkey immediately said, oh gosh, why did you not tell me? This is the type of service I like to do for you. You're my good friend. What is wrong in giving my heart to you so that your wife lives? Give me immediately back. I left my heart in the tree. I got to get it back right now. Right? Please take me. So the crocodile turned around and quickly went there. And the monkey jumped on top of the tree and said, I'm sorry, my heart is not meant for you. My friendship I can give you, but my heart can't give you. It very smartly tricked them. So sometimes this is cited, how you take association of people. Don't give your heart. Give your heart to a devotee. Give your heart to Krishna. But to people who are materialistic and passionate and all that, don't give your heart. But keep some good relation. That's okay for regular stuff. They're all spirit souls after all. And they're nice people. But since we are in a sadhana process, they are not very liberated and great. So I have to take caution. Okay? I hope that helps you, Puja Kumari. Arpana to everyone. Hare Krishna Maharaj, as a doctor, we feel very helpless at this point in hospital. When we know we are not controller, what we can really do to help others apart from doing our daily duty. Arpana, I feel it, what you're saying, very much. And my feeling, I feel very much for all the doctors. They're doing a great job, no doubt about it. Risking their life, keeping up their profession. Some of them have even passed away from the corona. And many sacrifices, no doubt about it. So my point is that for anything we are dependent on Krishna. You see, sometimes people are not doctors, they're staying at home, they're also getting affected by corona and they're dying sometimes. God forbid that they should all be saved. We pray for them. But it's not that. I also hear about doctors who are right in the forefront for the past 1.5 years working with COVID patients. They never got COVID. They're very careful. They're very dedicated and everything. I see that also. Many of them. So both are right. It's not that any one. It's just that according to what you're destined, things are going to happen anyway. So this does not mean we should go and embrace a COVID patient. No, this means you should do the necessary precaution and look after yourself. You may be a doctor who needs to keep up with this profession and go there, pray to Krishna, and do what is required to the best of your extent. But use a little intelligence also and be cautious. You're right about certain things. Don't, overshoot the boundary. That's the only thing I can afford to say now, because everything depends on Krishna. Everything depends on the Supreme Lord's power. He's a sanctioner. He's situated a super soul in everybody's heart. This we believe. Recently, one of our very, very senior, very lovable devotees in our world headquarters left his body out of COVID. He was 70 plus years old and his lungs couldn't take it. And they got very badly damaged and he passed away. The whole worldwide community got affected by it. But we all accepted it. That, okay, it was time for him to go back. Krishna called him back. Right? And that is the right way to take it. Because he did no harm to anybody. He was serving the Lord and very lovable and very nice to people. And that's it. He got COVID and he passed away. Somebody can raise a point saying that, oh, your devotee also got COVID. Anyway, what does it matter? Devotees also die. They leave their body. But they go back to Krishna. They don't take any more bodies. Right? Mostly they all go back to Krishna. But everybody dies, including devotees. That's not the big thing. And if there is some reason, it may be COVID, it may be a heart attack, it may be an accident, it may be anything. That does not matter. That's only an external reason. But the fact is, where is his destination after death? Everybody dies. So some will die in this way, some will die in that way. But who comes and receives him? Do the Yamadutas come and receive the person? Or the Lord sends Vishnudutas to receive that person? When Ajamila passed away, the first time Yamadutas came, he chanted the name of Narayana. Vishnudutas came and stopped the Yamadutas from taking and said, no, this man has chanted Narayana, the name of the Lord, all his sins are finished. It's a beautiful story in the Bhagavad. And they said, what? They said, no, that was a big dialogue. And then Ajamila at that moment saw this whole spectacle of both of them arguing and everything. And then finally he was told that you got a second life, extra time for you. Yamadutas can't take you. So he went to Haridwar and he completely dedicated himself to chanting the name of the Lord. And he was fully, humbly oriented that he was saved like this from going to Yamaloka and getting punished and taking so many births more by simply the mercy of him chanting the holy name of the Lord's mercy. And then he was ready to go. The same Vishnudutas came in a big Vaikunta Airlines and took him and went. So who receives you when you die? How you died is a different thing. How you died is just a material account. Even Krishna passed away from his body by the arrow shot by a hunter. What does it mean? Does it mean that Krishna is less powerful? No, it is a Leela. Similarly, I am not this body. How I leave this body, whether I got typhoid or cholera or I got COVID or I got this or a heart attack, what does it matter? I am not dying. I'm only exiting the body in a particular way. There has to be some reason to leave the body, right? So that doesn't really matter. So we should understand these facts from Bhagavad Gita very nicely and become sober and chant Krishna's name, whatever is Krishna's desire. Let that happen. A devotee is perfectly equibalanced, equipoised. Whatever is the Lord's desire, let it happen. That's the way to look at it in these type of situations and circumstances. And the more we read Bhagavad Gita and the more we keep in touch with the Lord and His instructions, the better it will be for us. At this point of time, for the question that you've asked, this is the best I could tell you. Okay. Okay, Aparna. I know it's a challenging period and I hope that Krishna protects you. We all offer our prayers for your protection. Navadvip Academy, YouTube, Hare Krishna Maharaj, my question is there any levels of goodness? How to understand mode of goodness for spiritual growth? Please help me to understand this. What is that? Levels of goodness. That's an interesting question. I wouldn't be able to immediately tell you that. Maybe there are some levels of goodness too. But how to understand the mode of goodness for spiritual growth? The connection is that in the mode of goodness, it is easy to jump into spiritual life. It's like a springboard for easy jump.
33 देखो आया नहीं आ रहा 33 नहीं वो उसको जोर से प्रेस करो ऐसे ही हो रहा है मम्मी साइड वाला
Maybe somebody has to mute. So you bring yourself to a platform. All of them are modes, all of them are binding. The Bhagavatam says, Bhagavad Gita also says very nicely, all of them are binding. But the best out of the modes is goodness because it affords a chance for you to become spiritually oriented, to become a devotee and everything. So keeping yourself in the mode of goodness is a little bit of a job. So that is why spirituality and modeness are very close. Goodness in itself is not spirituality because it's still a material mode. It's still a material mode, but it's very conducive for spiritual life. That's the way to look at it, right? It is, you may be in goodness, but that alone is not enough for you to get liberated. You have to, in the mode of goodness, practice spiritual life under the instruction of devotees, under the instruction of Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, under the instruction of Guru, and be jumping out of the goodness platform into the spiritual platform, into the transcendental platform. So when we perform devotional service, we're actually doing a transcendental activity. In the goodness platform, it is easier to perform transcendental activity. In the passionate platform, you will struggle a lot. In the tamasic platform, it becomes even more difficult to do anything, spiritually oriented. That's why the sadhana and the discipline brings you to the platform of goodness, and from there you can act. Then it becomes easier. That's the relationship between goodness and. To give you an example, it's like, you can travel in many different ways. Mobility on the roads. Some are going by car, some are going by train, some are going by cycles, some are going by motorcycles, some are flying. So the flight actually is the best way, most comfortable way. Next is maybe the railway and the train. Or next, maybe you can say it's a private car. And then comes, train and bus and everything together, which is, dirty sometimes and filled with people, and especially in this Corona period, it's very horrible. At least I had a private car. Something what best is to have flight for long distances. So Satvika Guna is like a flight. It's like a flight. Easy way to move and conducive. But from Rajoguna, toddling along with this thing is a little difficult job to actually be. So mostly from Rajoguna, you lift yourself to Satvika Guna and then are able to do that. So, but Satvika Guna also, it is not like something great. You can get to the airport. Everybody in the airport mostly want to fly. That's why they're coming to the airport. Right? But if you don't get your flight, there's what's the use of coming to the airport? Right? What's the use of coming to the airport? I'm now switching it another way. The getting flight means actually getting off into the spiritual platform. Being in the airport is, let's say, Satvika Guna. But if you don't get the flight, what is the use of arriving at the airport? If you miss the flight, what is the use of arriving at the airport? Okay. Airport looks very good. Much better. It's air conditioned, clean, neat. Much, much better than the bus stand and the train platforms, especially in India. Right? So you can say the airport is Satvika Guna, the railway track and the bus track are Rajoguna, and maybe something else is even worse. Bullock cart or something is even worse. But getting to the Sattvic platform is good, but it is meant for taking off into spiritual life. If you don't, then what's the big deal being in Sattva? That's a question that will be asked of you.
Maharaj, next session in 3 minutes, Maharaj.
Oh, really? Sorry, you're telling me so late. Everyone has all 3 gunas to a certain extent. One is Sattvic mode as a great proposition of Sattvic and very little of the other 2 gunas, I think. No, this combination is in various ways. Generally speaking, a Brahmana is predominantly in Sattvic guna. A Kshatriya is predominantly in passionate guna. A Shudra is predominantly in Tamasic guna. And a Vaishya is both in passionate guna and in Tamasic guna. That's an example, predominantly. But everybody goes through all the gunas. It's like a cycle, a big circle rotating with different proportions at different times. It's all controlled by your past karma also. Okay? Right. So thank you very much. I have to go for our next program. Stay safe. Read Bhagavad Gita. Chant Hare Krishna. And may Krishna protect all of you. Hari Hari. Gaura Hari. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.